So my wife picked this one up, and it's a pretty cool old box. A lot of rust, but really heavy made. Look at the size of these sockets that were in it. Those will definitely be fun to play around with. A lot of broken tools in it, but it's a solid box. Just a whole lot of rust. So we could work with that, or what? This is a wooden Machinist box in really bad shape. It belongs to my son, who's a machinist, and we're going to start with this. That can sit for another day. So I'm going to set you up, and we're going to go over what's wrong with it and some ideas of what we can do to fix it. Well, hello there. So recently we went and did a little visit with the son and his family, and I came back with his box. It's an Excelsior. It's not a Gershner. That's not the fancy high-end one, but it is a nice oak box that's been through a lot of trauma. That's what's left of the front cover. I don't even want to think if that's what that's going to entail. If it was a Gershner, well, for one, all the hardware would be labeled, and all the doors would be numbered to go with the case, and that's not. For the most part, the drawers are pretty solid. All the liners are shot. Hopefully they're done with hide glue, because that's easier to get out and replace. And I do have some liner, felt liner that my son provided with it. No keys for the locks. The top handle's missing and the wood is really stained. The hardware has seen better days. I was thinking I'm going to try and experiment maybe with plating it. I don't know how that would work. We'll see. This is all going to be an experimental mess, I think. Oh, this slide out door, they're usually metal drawers that pull out for the machinist's handbook. That's all missing, the metal, and somebody turned this upside down and hinged it to it as a door. I guess, functional fix. And this bottom piece, this is not an original part. This is something made much later. Some plywood and butt joints and some finish nails that didn't quite present as finished. But I thought, well, we can clean that up too and make it look a little better. There's some big chunks of oak chipped out of it. Oh, on the sides here, there's some holes that were drilled into the body. I think I can dig up some oak, drill these out, cut some plugs to fit. Luckily, most of the hardware, except for the latch, is screwed in rather than split rivets, because I guess they're a pain to find, to locate, to replace on these. And then the door hardware is split riveted in, so I don't know yet what I don't know if you can, let's see. You can kind of see it right there. The split rivet is folded over. I'll play with it I'd like this to come out pretty good, obviously, because it is my son's and it is used as a machinist toolbox. So this one's going to take a little bit of time. Actually, I just realized something else is off. This drawer is crooked. So we'll see if it's a drawer related or carcass related, or if it's in the, oh, I see. The whole box is racked a little bit. So anyway, a lot of work to do, and lots of time going to be put into it, but I think that's okay. there's no rush to get this one done, and I have some other videos in progress, so I don't need to rush on that account to make this presentable. This chain is not, I don't think that's original, but we'll do a little research as we go and see what we come up with. I guess disassembly or labeling is probably labeling things is first up. Okay, starting out on this front panel, first thing I noticed, well, one, had this metal bar across the top that was holding it all together. Luckily, I think that helped it from splitting worse. There's also some holes in here because there's pins that go under the top lid that push down with spring load into here to lock it when you lock the top. So at first I thought there was a couple of screws missing, and then I realized, no, it's just me with the screw loose. Another thing, I'm going to be putting, this is going to take a while. I'm going to get confused because I do. So I'm labeling the hardware as to where it goes, just so there's no confusion. And right now I'm trying to get the lock out. I've taken the screws and more flatheads out of the back, and it's gummed in there with, I think somebody re-varnished this thing at some point. So I'm trying to support the wood at the same time tap the lock assembly out. So let's see. So I've been going a little tap, a little turn. Yeah. Okay, that was easier than I thought. I'm hoping I can locate a key and get that working again. We'll see. I don't want to replace the whole piece. I don't want to replace anything if I can help it. But maybe if I have to, I will. So, oh, and another thing. Okay, this is going to go in that hardware. I'm going to tape that metal bar to the bag before I set it aside. This looks like a leather insert over here. But what I noticed is this panel, I'm sorry, hang on. There we go. This panel is glued in all the way around. It should have been left as a floating panel. It is a solid piece of oak, and it should have been left to float in there. I also noticed that somebody got pissed off, I'm assuming, and stabbed it with a Phillips screwdriver. We're going to leave that. Okay, this is day 2 of working on this, and I want to, mostly it's been play with ideas. So these are the knobs, and if you can see it, I don't know if it'll show up or not, but it's a split, oh there it goes, this is a split rivet that you have to bend the tabs back over, and I think they're aluminum because they just fell apart. So I thought, well, maybe I could cut them off, drill and tap it and screw it from the back, but it's so small, that ain't gonna happen. So I went ahead and cut one flush, cleaned it up. Now the funny, it's 2 parts. So I had to make a little jig to mount this one to get it through the wire wheel. And then I polished the pieces so they look better. The problem is the old ones had varnish and paint on them. They're not going to hold up. They're not going to look like that very long. And then I sampled. This was one of the corner pieces. You can see they're painted black, and I'm not a huge fan. I polished them up a little, and they look decent. But again, it's not going to last. So since these are kind of sacrificial at this point, I can't find new ones, so I might have to get creative. But since they're not really doing well, I'm going to take this and these, clean them up some more, and we're going to electroplate them. So remember what they look like now, so we can get a look at them here in a little while. Okay, now I'm going to make this a little lighter, not much though. And I think I like this. These are cool, but they chip up so easily. At least with normal paint. This with the nickel plating should last quite a bit. Isn't that ugly? Yeah, this should last pretty well. Same with the knobs. They're gonna patina a little. They're gonna get some color to them, but they're not gonna rust. Or well, these I think are aluminum. Whatever was put on them looked pretty hideous. So I think I'm gonna go with this for now. I guess I can always take them off and paint them later if I decide to go a different route. Okay, sorry about the noise, but I really need the heat. So we'll try and talk over it, but I wanted to show you little by little that lid's coming back together. It's a matter of scraping, cleaning, gluing back little slivers, slowly building it up to be complete. The last end will be there. And then we drilled out all the rivets. So the next one is to tackle. It's got a big crack along the back. I think I'm going to inject some glue in it and add a few. There's some finish nails, but I think I'm going to shoot a couple of air nails in there, pin nails. We got all the hardware off now, so we're going to do some tests to see what the best way to remove the finish is. If you look underneath the finish is this. And only if you know me, you know how much I hate that orange tint on wood, and it's always on oak. Usually on red oak, so I don't know. Maybe this is red oak. I'm no expert. But anyway, we'll face that next. Okay. Playing around with the box a little bit, and I did this. The holes that were on the side were really jagged, so I fastened a backer piece of wood, a scrap piece, and drilled up sides to a 1/2 inch. It's still a bit jagged because the last one to drill through the chuck dug into the wood. They went all the way through. But when we get the plug in there and sand it out, I think it'll hide most of it. So let me get that ready and I'll show you there. Okay. Drilled a plug. I bought this set of plug cutters on the Amazon, and boy are they crap. But I was able to get a couple of 1/2 inch plugs out. The smaller ones are definitely worse than the 1/2 inch, so I got lucky there. And it'll do the job I need of filling this hole, and then with a little bit of blending when we go to stain, I think we can almost make them go away. I don't know. We'll see. Cover your ears. I'm trying to keep the grain oriented as much as I can. Okay, we're in there. Definitely tight, which is good, but not too tight. I didn't split the wood. And then wipe off some of the excess glue, cut it flush, give it a sanding, and here, I won't bore you with waiting. It'll look like that. And that's with no finish work yet. Can you see it? Okay. So anyway, that's where we're heading with it. Okay, I'm gonna get a little glue in these seams and in these cracks. Clamp this together, let it stabilize, because now that all the hardware's off, the corner pieces and all, it's gonna be weak. So I figured now is about as good a time as any before I switch back to working on the hardware. let's see. I think we can call that good. Let's leave it clamped up. We got the lid clamped up over there. Got the hardware going on over here. We'll call it good. Okay. Today was the day I didn't want to work. I worked. We got initial cleanup of all of the felt. See? And all the parts have been scraped. So there's still some repair work to do. This is loose. Looks like the nail that went through the top, somebody removed it. Right there. I don't understand that. Or it broke off. But yeah, so the other one's in there. That one's not. So we're going to fix that. This drawer, somebody turned it into a door and put little hinges on it. So I'm going to have to fill those in and make a drawer. They're usually galvanized metal. I'll see what I have or what I can get and try and replicate it so that it's an actual drawer. I guess the machinist handbook goes in there. Who knew it was a specific thing? My son, the machinist, did. So that's for today. The base piece I haven't even touched yet. It's holding all the hardware. We'll get to that. And I still have to finish the cover, the drawer cover. So lots to go. I think we're on day 5 of this. I was sanding today after doing the scraping, but I hate sanding, we all know. But I came across somebody this is intentionally cut in. Somebody notched that. And then these 2 notches here don't make sense. It's like somebody drilled, I don't know. So I want to get rid of those. And then we decided, since the handles were added to the side, and there's no way you're going to lift this thing up by a strap handle, which would cost as much as the thing is worth to replace, we're going to go ahead and fill these in. So I got this really cheap plug cutter set. Oh, they were horrible on the Amazon, but I made some little plugs. So we're going to fill those, fill these, and then sand them down to match, and cut a piece of wood off of my scrap oak. Cut this out better, cleaner, and use it to fill in that. So we'll see how that works. Okay, I cut the new piece. That's just press fitted in. Obviously oversized because this is a rounded over edge. So I'm gonna have to make a match when it's all dry. So I made it big. Probably I made it too big, but it's easier to handle that way. Just pops right in there. Can't complain there. Okay. Once I sand it and stain it and put some grain marks in it, kind of emphasize, you're gonna be hard pressed to see it. But I thought you might want to see, like I said, there's just some little gaps. So I am gonna grab a rag. No. Ignore that part. And I'm gonna shoot some glue down in. I'm not so much worried about the surface area as getting it down in. You can kind of see what I'm going for here. Okay, I'm gonna wrap it up for the day with filming. I got a quick sand until I ran out of 80 grits on all the parts. The cracks in the back look a lot better. I mean, it's the back, but there's a lot of little dings and little nicks and dents that are definitely part of its story that I'm leaving. Not because I'm lazy, but here and there's little gaps that are in seams. I'm going to mix up a batch of that glue and sanding dust and go ahead and kind of push them into those and fill those up as much as I can and call it a day. I'm trying to get the wood part done, in case you're wondering why I'm not doing the hardware anymore, so that I can move this thing into the house, because our weather is very wet and wood, especially when it's untreated, likes to absorb that moisture. So I'm trying to beat the elements, so to speak. But anyway, okay, we're back for another day of fun. The lid to cover, I think I'm going to get a piece of leather for these. I just think that would look cool. This is the actual outside, and you can see I did an initial scrape, more because if it was going to fall apart in my hands, I didn't want that on camera. I would have been sad, but it's holding up. It's got a lot to go. I went last night and bought new sandpaper, so I'm going to give everything a good sanding. I wanted to show you. This is the piece that I replaced. You can tell it's there, and I could make it, I'm going to make it a little less obvious, but I read this thing by a conservator who does art. Not that this thing's art. But he said you don't want to hide the repair, because somebody down the road in the future may want to repair it again, or better. There'll become better ways. So he said, but you just want to make it, I guess, so it ain't so ugly. This is funny. So I did the little half. Yeah, you see it right there. And again, once it gets stained and I put a little graining on it, I think it'll be pretty good. The other drawer that had the exact same problem, when I grabbed it last night when I was putting things away, I guess I bumped the clamp. So the little dowel piece that I cut was glued on just at one little edge. So that's re-drying, and you got to let those things dry really well, because when you start sanding on it and scraping on it, it ain't going to be pretty. So I think I'm going to go through the inside real quick and get out a little more of the yuck in the corners, and then go back to doing everything with an 80 grit. And I bought some 120. Sandpaper's not what it used to be. I don't think we'd ever get to this point, but we're gonna go ahead and put some finish on it. So we're getting there, that means. And I thought I'd start with the inside of the drawer and kind of get an idea. Although I'm using Early American, and I've used it before. And now I'm gonna go put gloves on before I continue. I also won't subject you to too much of this either, because it's repetitive. I've got a mess to clean up. Okay, I let the stain sit a little longer, and I don't know how well it's going to show in the video, but it's darker. It's still got a little orange tint to it, but that's me. So I'm just going to move on. And when I put the finish over it, that should change it a little bit too. So the wood part is all repaired. Now the metal part, the hinges, the hasps, all that stuff. Okay, so we're going to take all these down to bare metal and plate them. And I think I'm going to replace all the screws. I'm going to see if I can go find some that'll match. Because they're in pretty bad shape, but we'll see. Got the heater going still, so sorry, but This is how they look painted, chipped up. See, on the box. And now this is cleaned up, wire brushed, nickel plated. So that should hold up for a good amount of time. Okay, let's all get caught up here. Stain is done, varnish is done, wax is 2 coats, probably 2 more to go. All the pieces are solid now. Still have things, I ordered new knobs. The old knobs just weren't gonna cut it. Then I took some galvanized nails I had because I didn't have regular nails long enough. And these will be what holds this on. Let me show you real quick. In case you've not seen one of these will drop in and the lid will close it. So I have to cut these to size, and that will hold that in place. I have a piece of metal bar here I gotta still clean up that goes along there. So, and that's when I cut these to be the right length to latch and to open, and cut my springs to match. So, and I'll put the lock back in here. I don't find any hopes of finding a key for it, but I still have one more local guy I can call. The hardware's all been plated. Some of it did better than others. My plating, I had to make a new solution halfway through. And I think some of these little nooks and crannies had grease or something. I mean, I soaked them, but something leached out during the process and kind of patinaed it back. It's not per se rusted, and then I waxed over them all, but I don't know. Anyway, lid's on. I gotta make a chain for that, and I opted for screws and nuts because this isn't a security box, so I put screws and nuts in, but they can easily be removed and secure rivets put in its place. So that was my cop out. And then I have to line everything. I was sent with some liner, but I don't know if it's going to be enough. I don't think it is. So I'll take it in the house, warm it everything up, and start. Yeah, it's not going to be enough. We'll line what we can with that. What's for today? I got a lot going on here. Oh, I know. One I don't think I've pointed out yet. So yeah, that goes up. This goes up, and it slides into here. You put some of the felt down in there, and that's where it sits while you're working. This was screwed, I think I mentioned it, it's been so long, screwed to here as a door. Well, this isn't a door. It's supposed to be a drawer. And everything I read and see online, they were metal drawers. And it looks like it went this way because it's notched here where the metal would go, I think. And so I'm going to do a little more research, but I need metal, and they all look like they're thin, like just sheet metal. Well, I happen to have some cans that are made out of metal. So I'm going to try and cut the metal out and use it to form a new drawer. I know it sounds hokey to me too, but that's what we're going to try. Okay, I like the idea of the tin for the can, but this thing is deeper than I thought, so I can't get enough out of it. I could get enough to go this way, not this way, even if I just add the back on after the fact. And I want it to be full size because I know it's specific to what it needs to hold. So, I have flashing. I can make it in 2 parts, so basically the bottom will be doubled up, I think, which is fine. That should work fine, right? Tell me I'm right. All right, there we are. As far as you're concerned, we're done. Let's go over real quick. I just shined the chain as the last step. Thank you, Never Dull. We replaced the plungers that lock the cover with homemade ones. We completely repaired the front, which was in pieces. Oh, drilled out all the holes and put in new screws. There was broken screws in all of them. So now it latches. I still have not come up with a key for this, but I don't think it matters. It's been sanded and polished. The back where it was all cracked has been sealed up. The hardware's been cleaned and nickel plated. We had some issue in some areas with that on the main hasp and the hinges. Either my nickel plating or the grease and oil that was up in there that I couldn't get out leached, but it left it with this pretty interesting patina that I'm not hating yet. The drawers. Made a new tin or aluminum drawer for the Machinist handbook, and I've given my son permission to have that replaced when he has a friend who's a tin knocker. We fixed this drawer and one other that had a notch missing out of them. It's kind of weird. Where is it? Oh, right here. So the notches have been fixed. We replaced a big piece of broken part of this drawer. All the drawers have been lined, but not. I have 5 more to do. The felt will be here later today, and I'll finish that up off camera, but I wanted to get this done. We opted to stay with the add-on handles, which he actually added, because carrying a box of tools by this wasn't working. We filled the holes, and they did not blend in well, but they're part of the story. We filled the side holes here, which blended in a little better. And the liner, it's self-adhesive liner. I don't know when he ordered it, if it was old, but there's a couple areas that are lifting up. And we lined this. And we put liner on the bottom, so when you slide the cover in while you're using it, it's not getting scratched up inside. But anyway, there's been a couple of corners that have risen up, so I may add adhesive to them. I'm going to let it sit for a few days, and if I think it'll help, I'll add some adhesive here and there, mostly on the side pieces. The bottoms seem to be and the top here seem to be holding really well. Who knows? And I get polished and put the chain back in. It was the last step. So I'm sure this is long. I haven't started editing yet. And if you're still here, thanks. This one was more than just a resto for me. My son joined the Navy when he was 22, and he's risen up very well. He's one of the greatest machinists I know. Okay, he's the greatest machinist I know. And I do know other ones. And hopefully this first box he had that it was broken and beaten will become something that he can look back with fond memories of both his time in service, his time as a machinist, and his old man who likes to play with things that shouldn't be fixed. We didn't put more money in it than it's worth, but I would have. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you next week.